always best when served live.
They say resist is futile. That individual is out of style. It's a simulation, not a but I know less about them
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Hello and good evening. Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 2, Episode 8, A Matter of Honor is over, and it has been since February of 1989. But we're just getting started here in this March of 2025 for yet another review of Star Trek The Next Generation on our quest to review every episode. In this particular episode, Commander Riker is assigned to temporarily be the first officer aboard a Klingon vessel as part of an officer exchange program. And we got a great panel here to break it down on this live stream podcast, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, audio versions all over. Coming up first, it's a very honorable first officer. It's Davan Skelhorn.
I just dropped my batleth.
Uh-oh.
Very honorable.
You must be ready to go into battle at any minute.
Oh, I'm ready to sing or go into battle or whatever, whichever comes first.
Yes. Here's the man who always asks, is it one or both? It's Jody Simpson.
It's true. It really is. But usually it has to do with like slices of pie.
Yes.
Roquet blood pie.
I brought my Benzite action figure.
Yes, that is a different Benzite.
This is Mordok, but they didn't make the other one, unfortunately.
They didn't
I
make
brought my IKS Pog.
Whoa. You had your time. This is my intro. All right.
Okay. And of course, back with us once again, it is the lovely Heather Narduzzi.
Hello, all. I didn't have time to serve a Klingon look today because I was busy all afternoon slaving over the Breguet lung.
The Breguet lung.
You know, a Klingon girl's only got so much time.
Of course, there's so many delicacies, some more palatable than others. Of course, spoilers here. I'm going to put my little Klingon emblem on just to honor the theme of the episode here. So spoilers if you haven't seen this episode, of course, but it has been out since before Jeff, my brother, was born. So you've had time,
But if they don't know your brother, they don't really understand the concept.
Well, he was born after this. So,
well, a lot of people were.
Well, he was born that year, but much later on in that year.
I digress. 90, isn't it?
I digress. Okay, there's a lot. We're going to talk about the whole episode. We're going to show all the screenshots, all the great moments in the episode. I got some great audio clips from a few of the different scenes. But just love to get the temperature. Do people like this episode? Davan, are you a fan of this?
Indeed, I am.
Indeed, you are.
Episode. Probably the best of the series up to this point.
Okay, well, that's high praise. Jody, what do you feel about A Matter of Honor?
This is a Riker episode, and I love Riker episodes for the most part, with the exception of the flashback episode. Riker is, going through this whole episode, all I thought to myself was, Riker is a better Worf than Worf.
If Worf had gone on this,
Jody, you're poking the bear.
Yeah, well, we already kind of talked about, Jody's not the biggest fan of Worf, but he is a Riker fan, so that will, come out here.
Worf was fine in this episode because he barely talked and he barely acted, so it was great.
He didn't have a lot to do, but he had some moments.
Strikes. That's 2 strikes.
I care.
All right,
I'm only here for Heather anyway.
Heather, tell us how you feel about this episode.
I love this episode. This is one of my favorites. This is one that I often put on when I'm going to sleep. I know it backward and forward, but I realized I watched it right before the podcast, and I realized that I don't often get to see the end because I often doze off, right? Because it's one of my faves. It's like a comfort one. So it was really fun to sit and watch and really pay attention to the episode. So let's get into it because I have nothing but good things to say about this one.
Yeah, me too. Like it was better than I remembered it, quite frankly. And I think, of course, we also have, we mentioned a few times here, Menden, as played by John Putch, who also played Mordok in last season, but this is a different Benzite who looks exactly the same. But I think this
sounds the same.
Was it a different Benzite and acted the same? And like, it was the same character.
They're from the same family.
They're from the same geostructure.
Yes, geostructure.
How do you tell each other apart? We just do.
You know, that's
I am not
one of the best alien.
I am Mendon.
I am Mendon.
Great.
And can I say that I wonder if they won any awards for the Benzite makeup because it is immaculate. Hi, Sam. Yeah. It's fantastic. The Benzite makeup is so cool. And I love the little breathing gadget with the dry ice. Like, really, really cool alien design.
Sorry, I realize we're still on the other background. Okay, fix that. Well, Sam likes this episode. He says fantastic.
Yeah. We agree, Sam.
That sign in Heather's background is such a standout.
Ah, yes. My friend Sean Crawford gave you that. Shout out, Sean. Thank you very much.
It's got blinking lights.
Mm-hmm.
There are more than 4. Okay, Sam has another question before we jump in here. What species would you guys like to go to as an exchange? Okay, that's an interesting one because it's all about exchange programs, right? So, would you want to serve on a Romulan ship? Would you want to serve on a Klingon ship? Within the Star Trek universe.
I love Klingons, but I'm also vegetarian, so I don't really want to go.
That would be tough.
God, Vulcans would be boring.
Would you eat? Would you be okay with insects, Davan? Because I know you eat fish. So would you eat like tube grubs? Would you be willing to go on the Ferengi ship?
It's too rainy on Ferenginar. Who wants to go there?
No, but like
on their ships, it's not.
They don't even let ladies on the ship. I don't want to go there.
No women. No.
Yeah.
So, well, maybe.
Honestly,
maybe like Cork in disguise.
Yeah.
I would have just honestly, I probably would have went on a Klingon ship. Just because
it seems like a lot of fun as long as you survive.
There, I definitely would try.
Okay.
Like almost everything on that table looked like something I've already consumed. So,
and we're gonna talk about that. Like the eating scenes in this episode are hilarious and memorable. I know the one. Oh, what's your one?
I would go to a Pac-Led ship because I would become the captain instantly.
You would be a genius.
He is smart.
They're smarter than you think.
Ambulatory Bird says Ryzian ship if they have one.
Yeah, there you go.
A Ryzian ship if they do have ships. I think
I thought about that as well, but
why? They're not going to travel anywhere.
They have cruise ships.
Trill exchange because the Trill are so
boring,
fun, based on Jadzia, just like a planet full of Jadzias. Amazing.
They're not all like
Can't
that
wait.
though.
You don't know.
Some are like Ezri.
We've met others.
Yeah, well, that's not Ezri's
we meet
fault.
in TNG are super boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, with like the head thing and he was boring. Never mind, I take it back. I just want to go on Jadzia's ship.
I don't want to go on a Vulcan ship. That would seem super boring unless
a Maquis ship.
A Maquis ship. They all punch at each other and everything else. Yeah.
It's like a Klingon ship, but
and then when you get a chance, you can go find your spirit animal.
Yeah, exactly. Hakuchi Moya.
Hakuchi Moya.
All right. Well, okay. Now with that little exercise done, let's jump into the episode, everybody. The Enterprise is at warp to start this episode off.
Sorry, one thing just before we finish. Thank you, Sam, for that question. It's the most intelligent thing you've ever said.
I agree.
Sam wants to go on a Bolian ship, but I don't know.
Well, I don't know about that.
Sam, you couldn't sneak up on a Bolian.
They got those thick tongues with the lining and everything. Anyway, so the Enterprise at warp to start this episode off. Riker looking very serious. They're at a starbase, I think. He heads down to the transporter room.
Wait, go back. Was that him? Okay,
Riker?
Jesus, just
Yeah.
looked like somebody else for a second. Okay.
That's,
it's just
that's bad lighting. That's all that is.
It's not the best moment. It's hard sometimes when people
That's
are
actually
walking.
one thing that's interesting about this episode is their cuts to commercial are absolutely terrible in this episode.
Interesting.
I noticed a lot of like this angle, like
Yes,
close-ups from a lot of like
upper
up the
shots,
nose
yeah.
angle, which I thought was
Who
a
directed
weird
this one?
directing choice.
Rob Bowman directed this one.
God damn it, Rob.
Yeah, so don't know what to make of that.
I'm sure he's watching to get the critique.
Yeah, he's like, are
30 some odd episodes?
Are they looking
that
at my
he
camera angles 34 something years later? 36 actually, probably now.
Yeah.
Data in the command chair quite a bit in this episode. He'll fill in as first officer. We'll get to that. But this is before Riker has left. So we're back with O'Brien. He's making back-to-back appearances here for yet another episode. As they beam in new crewmen, it seems like all blue shirts to come in here. Science division, medical, perhaps. For some reason,
focus, Davan.
For some reason, Wesley was brought down here to be with Riker for this, because of course he's going to recognize Mordok.
Why would you take Wesley to go meet new people on the ship?
But Wesley doesn't know that Mordok is specifically coming aboard, so it seems a bit. Maybe it's just part of his education, I guess, that he's been promised.
Maybe he just follows Riker around like a lost puppy.
Perhaps
he does do that.
Yeah. So, we're told that Mordok, the Benzite, he's also here on the exchange program, but he's wearing the Starfleet uniform as well. So
this is Mendon.
I'm sorry, I can't. They all look alike to me.
That's racist, Dave.
This is Mordok.
Whoa! It's not all. It's the same actor.
Let's dial that back. Rewind. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
These kind of things don't happen on the Orville podcast.
No, never.
We always get everybody's names right.
Right. Yeah, of course, especially Jody. He knows every character's name back and forth, especially the main cast.
Not even anybody, really.
Yeah. Okay. But there's this whole thing. Wesley says you couldn't have graduated the academy already. And he says, "I'm not Mordok. I am Mendon."
I am not Mordok. I am Mendon.
Sorry, it's a friend of mine. You look just like him.
We are from the same geostructure. Naturally, we look alike.
How do you tell each other apart?
We just do.
We just do. This is I think we have one appearance of a Benzite in Deep Space Nine, but this is kind of like the most Benzite content we ever get, really, in all of Star Trek. And I kind of wish we got more, because I kind of find the Benzites interesting as another race amongst the Federation.
This particular one's kind of annoying, but
yeah. But then we're also told that all the Benzites are annoying. But I don't know.
The other Benzite that we meet when in season 1,
he wasn't like this.
He wasn't like this.
No, so I don't know. We're told this is a Benzite trait, but of course, it varies from individual.
I don't really read him as annoying. I just read him as like overeager to please and maybe stepping on toes in that kind of way,
He's got a thing to him,
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. Just thought I could be of some help.
Even how he says
I am correct in what I said.
I am always right.
Yes.
He's an ass.
I'm like, oh, he's not that annoying. But if he came into my office and was like, oh, by the way, you should do it like this, and I am correct, I'd be like, listen, bitch, I'm going to take that right off your chest, and that's going to be the end of this.
Right. Yeah.
You're going to suffocate, ass.
Yeah, so they can be a little. They seem like they're so eager to please. They can be a little annoying, but and they think that they're very smart, which they might be. And there will be some cultural misunderstandings that will also come up here in this episode with him.
What hijinks may ensue?
Let's get to it. So I think Mendon says to Riker, "I would love to tell the captain all my great ideas for fixing the ship, and make sure he knows I'm here to improve things." And he says, "Oh, I'll make sure to let him know." And then Riker gives this look to O'Brien as he leaves. Like, uh-oh, that's not going to go over well.
O'Brien.
I love that shared look, like, get a load of this guy. And O'Brien's like, I know.
O'Brien has been through like Cardassian wars and stuff, and he's like, "That's the worst thing I've ever seen."
That was something, Anyway,
Brian's
so
like, this is the most excitement that's happened in Transporter Room 3 in like months.
Hey, you don't know about the after hours parties they do there.
Yeah,
No.
maybe.
But Riker then gets a call to go to the phaser range, everybody.
The phaser range is so fun. Is this the first time we see it? I don't remember.
I think it is.
Only
I think
time
it
we
is.
see it, I think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It will come back.
No, we see.
It will come back, Picard and Guinan on
Yeah,
the
but
phaser
they don't go
range
to the
together.
phaser range. They go to the holodeck.
Oh,
Do they?
Oh,
that
that
is
too,
true.
isn't it?
You are correct.
No, this is the phaser range.
This is an actual room on the ship somewhere.
Oh,
It's just
Great.
dark, and I guess
doesn't seem right.
Picard stands on the yellow side, Riker stands on the blue side. So I guess if the dots are blue or yellow, respectively, that's when you shoot, right?
But what happens?
I
when
love
they're red?
their like Picard's little hand shootings with the rifle. It's so cute with this
Yeah.
little phaser.
It's like a game. It's like a little video game they're playing with each other. Here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Duck Hunt.
I wonder who
I love
controls
that.
them.
I think it's it was just fun. Of course we also know they have a room that they have fencing in because we saw Picard doing fencing last season.
They got rooms for
Yeah.
everything on the
That's
Enterprise.
the
Big shit.
gymnasium.
You know what? I have the Enterprise manual somewhere. I'm gonna
Technical
verify
manual
that.
somewhere.
Mhm.
Well,
I do
Yeah.
too.
Gonna
Where
have to
this is
verify where that is.
Who do you think won this little target practice session between the two? It's not
Picard
really
for sure.
Picard won. Yeah.
Yeah, because like half the time Riker wasn't even really shooting, where Picard was shooting all the time while he was talking.
Picard's a marksman. So they're talking about the Benzite. He's eager to please. That's a quality. But there's also this exchange program, and there's a chance to maybe go to a Klingon ship, something that no Starfleet officer has ever done. And Riker says he'd like to give it a shot, just because no one has ever done it before. And because Picard says he's considering sending somebody, and Riker's the one who wants the job. He pretty much volunteers himself. So Picard kind of goes for it. And that's kind of more or less the teaser for the episode, as they agree that they're going to go ahead with this. Riker's going to serve on a Klingon ship, and that is our.
I'd just like to say hello to Davan's pet Targ here, a noble beast. Hi, Norman.
Tell him he's a pretty cat.
Oh, and a good cat.
We won't eat your heart, Targ. So it's
Speak
all
for yourself.
replicated.
Hey, you two cats. I have like rotating cats in here. You two settle down.
Okay, so a matter of honor, our title card for the episode is the Enterprise still moving along, and so Riker's then talking to Worf about, hey, I'm going on the ship. They're more specifically that the part of the first officer's job on a Klingon ship is to assassinate the captain. If the captain, Worf has to explain.
When and if the captain becomes weak or unable to perform, it is expected that his honorable retirement should be assisted by his first. Your second officer will assassinate you for the same reasons.
So how
Right.
quick can we get Worf into command?
Get him assassinated. He says that seems a little chaotic, but the Klingon system has endured for centuries.
The Klingon system has operated successfully for centuries.
Yes.
But
And
they must go through captains like nuts. Where'd Davan go?
well,
Oh, he's off the camera right now.
Assassinated by
he's dealing
first officer.
by his cats.
Oh, no
Um,
way. That cat
yeah.
killed him?
Yeah.
That's
So-
no good.
Plot twist.
Right. Again, Worf, he uses very specific language here. He's like, he has studied everything about his heritage, but of course he wasn't really raised by Klingons. He didn't grow up in a Klingon world. So, he's kind of just giving the summary. Oh, Worf.
Jody, I missed you, Jody.
Jody also has control there.
You
So,
weren't supposed to say that part.
yeah.
Why does
He's
he
very-
have to bring toys every
he's-
time I'm here?
Well, it's just to get back at you, I think, for your
is that what it
your
is?
wharf slander.
Can't face me man to man. I get it.
Yeah. Anyway, so Riker is feeling a little anxious here as he heads into it. Who wrote this episode? Burden Armus, with a story by Wanda M. Haight, Gregory Amos, and Burton Armus, who also wrote the teleplay. Okay, so I don't know if this particular writing team ever came back, but I hope they do, because I love the episode. Of course, Rob Bowman, as we mentioned, all the downward or down-up angles here.
Are we just gonna let it slide that guy's name was Armus?
That's what it's named after, is him.
That's true.
Gotta be.
The tar entity.
There's a lot to be. The skin of evil
Yes.
and all of that.
I was wrong, guys. I'm sorry. There are 2 episodes where we see the phaser range. This one, as well as Redemption.
Ooh, another fine Klingon episode.
And according to Memory Alpha, it is indeed its own thing.
I am evil.
The skin of evil, Armus.
I am evil.
Anyway, so then, is it Mendon?
Sure.
Mendon.
It's Mendon. Yeah, he goes around the bridge in this next scene. He talks to this tactical guy about how to make things better with the targeting, which is interesting too, because this particular officer, or he's not an officer. He wears no rank insignia, so he seems to be a truly enlisted
Why the
crewman.
hell is he touching weapons controls?
Mendon or this guy?
This guy.
Well, he's
got
been
no rank.
he's a
Maybe he forgot his pips.
I don't think he forgot his pips. I think
I
he's
don't think you're
just,
allowed to forget your pips.
I think he's just no, but it's okay. He doesn't have to have pips to man the station.
I don't know about that. I would question his training.
He's just filling in. He's a fill-in. Maybe
okay.
it's the night shift or something.
Fair enough.
So Mendon has all his own theories about what would make things better.
But in theory, my theory, it would be more than a marginal improvement.
Of course. He's I guess smug is the way to go, arrogant, but well-meaning too. Yeah, well, he goes over to Wesley next and has an idea for, I don't know, how to do something else with the controls. I can't remember the specifics of it, but it's interesting too.
You're right. I'll do it your way, and I'll succeed brilliantly.
Exactly. I'll have to mention it to the captain.
I'll have to mention this to the captain. He is open to some astute observations, isn't he?
Well, I've never known the captain not to listen, he says. Well, great. I'm going to let him know. So ambition, I think, is also a big part of Mendon's character, and maybe a Benzite thing as well. So then we move over to the Riker storyline. Hello, Riker. As he's trying
Riker.
all of this Klingon food that, my gosh, like they had to have
It looks
really...
great.
It looks so appetizing.
I would
it?
eat all of this.
You would eat all of this? That looks like a
try
big
it anyway.
bowl of puke right there.
Yeah, the
They
front one doesn't
really-
look too great.
They really knocked it out of the park with Riker's Klingon buffet, because it looks very alien and gross. Perfect. Killed it.
It looks
The
like,
one in the back there. Go to the back. Go to the last picture again. The one in the
Those
back
are
there.
beets
Like,
in the middle.
Yeah, they're beets sticking out of a tiramisu.
Which would be gross, really.
Yeah. I mean, they
I'd
don't
try
have
it.
beet.
yeah. Well, at least they're getting some fiber, I guess.
Yeah.
I never noticed that though, but you're totally right. Those are
Yeah.
totally just upside down beats.
It's
I think
upside down beet.
They're just supposed to look
Yeah,
like
well,
gnarly,
yeah.
I think, coming out of
Yeah.
the bowl of whatever tiramisu, I guess.
And the one, go back. The one on the far right looks kind of
Yeah.
like just like they took like head cheese and just like threw it in a blender for a bit.
It looks so gross.
It looks
It's just
super
like
gross.
a bowl of green lentils.
I'd try it.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. They of course, got the squid, but whatever
And
the hell
I
this
love-
is supposed to be. And
I love that they have the tentacles like artfully draped over the edges of the bowl.
yeah. Just
Well,
it
it's
was
all
replicated
about
that way.
it's all
Eat
about
with your eyes
impression
before
here.
you eat with your mouth.
It looks like Riker's eating like a plate of raw chicken skin or something here.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And
What's
then
in this
just
glass?
a beaker full of squid or something.
Yeah, or like
Oh, that's
bile.
octopus for sure.
Yeah, Riker going
He's
for it
going
here.
for it.
And of course, Pulaski.
What is that?
What is that? Riker breaks it all down for us here.
It's a Klingon delicacy. Hippias claw. This is heart of Targ. This, of course, is Gog.
Gawk?
Yes, serpent worms. Would you like some?
No, thanks.
You gotta love how Riker's just diving right into it and trying to really, immerse himself in the culture and the cuisine, and to prepare for his feast here. I love how he keeps offering the food to like Pulaski and eventually Picard when he comes into the scene here.
The only thing that wasn't believable about this scene was Pulaski saying, "No, I'm not. I'm going to abstain from drinking until you depart." It's like, yeah, okay, Pulaski. Every time we see you in 10 forward, you got a drink in your hand. Come on now.
Are you saying she's a lush?
She's old school.
She's old school. Yeah. She has the cocktail. About 4 of them.
She uses that as a liniment.
Right.
There you go.
I just love the way Frakes has his mouth open here in front of the captain. He's approaching, going for it. He's like, "Oh, the feast before the transfer. I've had dozens myself, but normally I go for more palatable options."
That's so weird. I've had dozens myself. Like, how many times have you been transferred, Picard?
Used to get shuffled around, old Johnny Luke.
So this is I come from a family that has some military and stuff, and this is a normal thing for when you get sent out on deployment. It's not just a transfer thing. So I think they use the term transfer wrong.
Is it because like your food rations are limited and that's why?
Well, you just don't know when your next meal's going to be, so you kind of fill up as much as you can, right?
Got it.
Because you could be traveling for 2 days without.
Riker's he's loaded up on those calories. He's carb loading.
Yeah, I don't even know what kind of calorie consumption this is. But...
This looks like, when I saw this, it looks like a spoiled Caesar.
Yeah. Like,
now that
that's just been sitting on sitting somewhere for months, you know.
Oh, you totally ruined that. See, first I thought it was just like old celery sticks in like
that is what it is in gross old clamato.
When we get to the trivia, we gotta like find out what they used to make these things. But...
that color, you shouldn't be drinking it.
Yeah. No. Picard looks at it for a second, considers drinking it, but then it's like, maybe not. Maybe I'll order something else. Whatever this
looks great.
The beets, whatever, that we're told that's actually the blood pie. And I think
is that supposed to be the roquette blood pie?
I think so. Yeah. And then there's this, of course, the squid, which I think is
that's octopus though.
With a bunch of seaweed on top, maybe.
Yeah, and like a couple little mushrooms in it.
Yeah, mushrooms in there or something.
Yeah, funky looking mushrooms.
Enoki mushrooms are the ones on the right, the little teeny ones.
Good eye.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah, Picard's like, but he's like, there's so little there's so much we don't know about these Klingons, and I
know enough to replicate half their menu.
Enough that, and he's like, and these are the more palatable options of the Klingon dishes, we're also told. So,
and I love that Riker's just two-handedly going.
Yeah, he's just, give me more of it, more. You can't get enough, right?
Riker's a hungry boy.
He is.
Yeah.
That
he's
man
got an appetite.
Appetites.
Yeah, Pulaski getting handed different dishes here.
That looks like cinnamon sticks sticking out the top of that.
It does, yeah.
Some old corn or something.
This is the episode that defines Riker, though, because this is like the first episode where he's cool. And
he's really cool,
man.
Yeah,
and he's super cool. He always has the right.
And he didn't even have to pick up a.
He
didn't even have to pick up a trombone either. That's the weird
thing. Yeah. And I want to know if he did hook up with those 2 Klingon women, but we'll get to that later.
I hope so.
100% he did.
I'm not sure he had enough time. He was only on the ship for like a day.
I don't know. He'd find time.
At least one.
This is Riker.
This is Riker. That's true.
Anyway, so then we transition from that iconic scene with all the Klingon dishes, which becomes really part of the lore, forevermore after that. But just before Riker leaves, Worf gives him this like transponder thing. He's like, just in case we need to find you or you need to send a signal. He's like, are you getting sentimental about me, Worf? He's like, it's just efficiency.
Efficiency, Commander.
I just need to make sure we get our officer back.
Norman brings up a very good point. In a couple episodes, Pulaski is drinking poisonous Klingon tea. So why
True.
is she so worried about this? That's a good point.
Because it looks gross.
Yeah, it's more about. It's not that she's against Klingon food per se or on principle, but you know,
And
but maybe
Norman
the Klingon
also
teas.
chimed in to say, "This is Riker." Of course, he had both those. With
You
him.
are correct, Norman. 100%, sir.
Yes.
We already discussed that she's a drinker, Jody.
Yes, that's
Pulaski.
true.
She heard Klingon tea, and she's just like, "All right, I'm gonna give it."
I could die. Let's have some.
So then, okay, we meet up with the Klingon bird of prey, the Pa, here.
Got it right here. The Pach.
We meet Captain Kargan, as played by Christopher Collins, who will also go on this season to play the Pack-led captain.
I was going to ask you that. I'm like, that's got to be the Pack.
Oh, yeah. And he played a couple DS9 characters as well. He actually died in 1994,
really?
fairly young of something...
Oh, that sucks.
A brain disease of some kind. So, but he's great in this episode and in that episode.
Every time he talked, though, I could hear a Pack-led. It was like,
yeah,
it's
for me
gotta
too.
be
I didn't realize he was the Pack-led captain, but of course, now that you mention it, it was tweaking.
Next time
to
you
me
see
that
him
he was
talk, you're going to be
familiar.
like, oh my God, he's about to tell me how smart he is.
Yes.
I think
He also, I read on Wikipedia because I looked him up because the name was familiar. He was the original voice of Mo on The Simpsons.
Really?
and Mr. Burns, yes,
And Mr. Burns, yeah.
for the first
Really?
season, yeah. Before I guess Hank Azaria took those roles over, right? No. Oh no, they split. No, because Mr. Burns is Harry Shearer.
Harry
right?
Shearer.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially in this shot right here, like 100% you can tell he's the Pack-led captain.
He was also the voice of Starscream in the Transformer series, animated series, and the voice of Cobra Commander in G.I. Joe.
Yeah, I don't think he was the Starscream voice, though, in the movie.
Just the animated series.
In the series, yeah.
Yeah. So
I like Transformers, too.
lots of great stuff. He's great in this episode as well as the Klingon captain. Worf's looking on, but there's the fact that Worf is Klingon is not that important in this episode, other than his little discussions here with Riker. This is more about, I guess, looking through Klingons through human eyes, right? More specifically in this episode. So he says, "You're getting a hell of an officer." Picard says to the Klingon captain, "You're getting a hell of an officer." He's like, "Yeah, thanks for your opinion, but I'll make my own judgments." And Kargan out. So then Mendon is like, I don't know. He reacts to that whole moment here. Can't remember what this. He's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to offend you, Worf." And he's like, "You haven't yet." Right, because I guess Worf's job is to be like the supervisor here for Mendon.
It would have been better if Worf just like hauled off and hit him.
Well, he's pretty
He's
good.
thinking about it. Look at
knock
him.
that little gas thing right up his nose.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to offend you.
You didn't. Yet.
But even the way he says that, he's being an ass. And I'm not talking about Worf. I'm talking about the Benzite. Like he's like, "I didn't mean to offend you," and it's like, you're an ass. You know he was trying to.
Maybe amongst the Benzites, he's a really cool guy.
Maybe.
So anyway, so then we see that
Benzites.
Mendon does a scan of the bird of prey, which would be a standard thing here. Can we also just acknowledge that this Benzite makeup is amazing too?
It really
we already
Yeah,
did, didn't we?
We already did. Yeah, we talked about it for a couple of minutes.
Where was I?
You were the one
Weird.
doing it.
No, I brought it up.
Oh, was
Dave's
it you?
stealing my comments.
Oh man.
Well, I'm just
No,
repeating them.
Truly, like it's beautiful.
good.
Really, really nice makeup work.
Sorry.
And
How
all
many?
the different Klingons they did in this episode too. I would be surprised if they weren't
Except for
at
the
least
women.
nominated
The
for
women
makeup.
didn't look that great.
The women look a bit rough.
They look-
Yeah.
I think they're meant
Hey,
to.
Yeah.
Women
Meant to.
Klingons look
Klingon
so
women.
much better later.
Yeah, I think they're meant to like not look
Beautiful
super
women.
attractive.
No.
So, but
This is
yeah.
this is a low rate ship. They
Mm.
put the Uggos on this one.
How many hours was he in that chair? Like at least 5.
Oh.
Like
Yeah.
5 or
so,
6 for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I was looking at like the little pegs that they've got sticking out of the back of his ears, and I was wondering if that's like air holes for his ears, but it's too far back on his head, I think.
He probably can't hear in that
No, I
thing
don't
either.
imagine.
Oh,
Okay.
well, yeah.
And the other thing too is that I guess they didn't want to have the makeup go that far down his neck, but of course these uniforms at this particular time in the series go right down to the neckline. So they've given him a little bit of a turtleneck here. That
well, they're probably also hiding whatever they needed to create the like dry ice effect coming out of the thing too, right?
True.
And it's not always on, which is interesting. Like in some scenes you don't see it at all, and then other scenes it's shooting out.
Right.
Now I think I just finished rewatching Breaking Bad, and then I listened to all the commentary, and they were talking about an effect where they did dry ice in Bryan Cranston's mouth, so he would be exhaling, and they have to put it in this little cage because if the dry ice touches you, it's very dangerous, you know. So when I was watching this episode, I was thinking, I bet that's what this like C-shaped piece is. It's a little cage with dry ice inside, and when he breathes on it, that causes the steam. Would be my guess.
Right. The breathing apparatus because the benzites breathe a partially chlorine-based atmosphere.
Yeah, they have to have something added to the oxygen for them to survive or something.
But we know that there was an Ensign Hoyt in the Deep Space Nine episode who didn't have any kind of breathing apparatus, and it's kind of implied that some benzites go through a procedure that they wouldn't need this, but then maybe they couldn't go back. They may need a breathing apparatus if they go back to their own atmosphere.
This is why I'm on this channel, so I can learn.
We can learn all kinds of great things here. It's science, everybody. Fake science.
Future
fiction.
science.
Yeah. Anyway, so Mendon's doing a scan of the bird of prey, and in that analysis, he's finds some kind of bacteria substance, bacterial colony, but everything's inconclusive, and we keep seeing these close-ups on the words inconclusive, and we see here that Mendon does not tell Picard or any of the other bridge crew about this.
Okay, so I have a problem with this. All right, I'm going to tell you what the problem is. This guy went through Starfleet. He went through training.
Did he?
Because he's got a rank. He has to have gone through it. So he had to have had some sort of academy training. You're telling me no one in the academy told him that he has to like report shit?
Well, if he's an acting ensign,
he seems to be like he's here on exchange.
Well, if he's an acting ensign, he wouldn't have a pip then.
I find it confusing that he wears a Starfleet uniform. I think he should probably be wearing some kind of benzite uniform if that's where he's coming from. But
this one's got a uniform that looks similar, but it's not.
That's just a civilian type thing, right? So I don't know. It's a little confusing. Where like is Mendon in Starfleet or isn't he? He's referred to specifically as ensign many times. So I don't know.
Well, the other thing for me is that this guy was so hot to trot with his ideas and his improvements and could not wait to speak to the captain. And then he finds something out of the ordinary and then
he shuts his mouth.
Better not tell the captain.
Yeah, it's very contradictory, right?
In
terms of their posts.
Well, we haven't hit the scene yet where Picard's walking by him and he stops Picard and says, "Hi, I'm so-and-so and I have ideas." Like, we're not even at that part yet, right?
Yeah, it's coming up next. But the thing is, if let's say Mendon is just wearing the Starfleet uniform as part of the exchange, then why wouldn't Riker wear the Klingon uniform as part of the exchange?
Exactly. I would love to see Riker in a Klingon.
Everybody would look good.
Me too.
You know, he would look probably better. They wouldn't been making fun of him as much probably on the Klingon ship. Anyway, there's also this whole thing here with O'Brien and Riker as Riker is leaving here.
This is really fun.
Thanks, O'Brien.
I wouldn't want to go.
Why?
You're not afraid, are you?
No, I'm not.
I would be. Already, sir.
Thanks. Energized.
You're not afraid. I would be.
I would be. Anyway, bye.
He's the hero of
but O'Brien gets the shit kickings from everything. So
true.
Yeah. The establishment of the O'Brien personality already coming out. Like really, they've only been getting him lines for like these 2 or 3 episodes so far.
Very underrated in TNG.
Yeah, but I think he becomes a fan favorite pretty quickly. You know, and this episode I think is part of that.
Maybe.
And I just love that interaction between the two of them. In a very serious episode, there's that like lightheartedness between them.
Yeah.
Really
good luck.
like
Hope I see you again.
Good luck. Bye.
I'm gonna go have like mashed potatoes with capers in them, and you can go over to the Klingon ship.
Yeah. Enjoy the gah.
Enjoy the gah.
Anyway, so then the Klingon ship leaves. Picard says bye, and then this is the part here with Mendon talking to the captain.
If you have a few minutes, I've noted a few procedural changes which might speed up operations on the bridge. I pick things up very fast.
He's like, I'm sure you have. And
the more this guy
on the
talks, the more I
Enterprise.
realize he's a prick.
Yeah.
Here on the Enterprise, we use the chain of command.
He's like, you can talk to Worf, right? And then Worf's
like shit.
I told you to keep your damn mouth shut.
We'll be discussing this later.
And then Worf comes. He's like, you could impress me.
You may impress me.
Yeah.
So I love the face that Mendon makes after Worf says that.
Yeah,
it's very sitcom-y. He's kind of like,
Yeah.
He's
got the deer caught in the headlights thing going on.
Yeah. Then we go over to the Pa. I love this close-up of the ship, too. It's so great. I think it's... Because this is only 4 years, I guess, since the Voyage Home, the Star Trek The Voyage Home, which, of course, featured the IKS, or HMS Bounty.
And we're almost about to get Undiscovered Country.
And the Bird of Prey also was in... Undiscovered Country comes out 2 years from then, but there's also a Bird of Prey in Star Trek V as well. So,
is this like a redressed Bird of Prey from the movies, or?
I think so. Yeah, they say that this ship may be the most filmed ship of any Star Trek ship. Outside of maybe the Enterprise itself, right?
Wouldn't shock me. It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
Really
They made it originally for Star Trek 3, and then they just kept using it in pretty much in every movie after that, including Generations, which also features the Bird of Prey heavily.
It gets blown up on that one though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, Generations also reused one of the animation from Undiscovered Country, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's a cool looking ship.
It is.
Anyway, so then Worf gets greeted by this other lieutenant guy along the way, who's like, I've never seen a human before. You look kind of weird, and it's kind of like one of those moments. And Riker's like, can you just show me where the bridge is? That's, I don't want to be gawked at.
I actually like this guy.
Love this guy. Do we know who this actor is? I meant to look him up and forgot, but he looks very familiar.
Yeah,
Has he been in any other Treks or?
That's Brian Thompson.
But this isn't Clag, right? This is
not.
This is
this
is the tactics officer. This is like the third officer.
Oh yeah, I was trying to figure out who he was too because he looks very familiar.
Peter Peros plays this guy.
Okay, I was thinking of Clag.
Known for being Judge David Harrington on Tyler Perry's The Haves and the Have-Nots on the Oprah Winfrey Network. He went on to do some stuff. Anyway, so
depends on if you call that stuff, but all right.
Yeah. And then Riker does make his way to the bridge. He meets in person Captain Clagan, right? Kargan. As well as Clag, as played by Brian Thompson, the second officer of the ship. I guess normally the first officer, but I guess he's taking a backseat to Riker for this exchange program. And Kargan has like this, I don't know. How would you describe his attitude towards Riker in this scene? And his whole bitchy, sort of aggressive, wanting. He's like, do you pledge your allegiance to our ship and to follow my orders and to go into battle?
You get the impression that he has no interest in him being here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what kind of Starfleet candy-ass bullshit is this? Like, what are you even doing here?
Why am I the one that got picked to have this asshole on my ship?
Yeah, Kargan's not too... he probably got these orders and he doesn't like it. So
well, they arranged this pretty quickly. And earlier, Picard's like, there's a Klingon ship around here right now. We'll just call up High Command and say, hey. So it's like... Yeah.
So Riker's like, I've been ordered to follow the orders of this ship. I will serve this ship no matter what, Clag says, don't believe him, he lies. He gets chastised for not speaking in their language. Speaking their language. So then Clag and Riker have a little challenge fight here on the bridge where Clag even steps up on the taller platform just to seem even taller than Riker.
And Riker grabs him by like this,
by the head,
that, straight over, which in no bloody way would actually work. Because
I don't care. It was super hot. Riker is so hot when he's beating up Klingons. Yes, Get it. Eat
Yeah.
them all up. I
Yeah,
love
Riker.
it.
He he does like a whole I don't know. I used to know wrestling moves, but he grabs. He does sort of a suplex here on him.
Literally, grabs him right
Grabs
here.
him
and just
by
kinda
the
flips him
head,
straight over.
the shoulder.
Throws him over. You know, you always know when the guy looks away and then he grabs you, to kind of get the element of surprise. The captain on looking, just watching this fight play out, and Riker eventually throws him into a monitor and smashes him up here. And
then at that point, Clegg is nice to him.
yeah, Clagg's he's earned Clegg and Kargan's respect, and maybe the whole ship in one full swip. So
I like how Kargan's
he's
in the
not a little
background.
Starfleet cream puff after all. This guy came here to fight. I'm into it.
But look at him in the background. He's just like, you got your ass handed to you.
Right. Right. And remember, it's Clagg's job to kill Riker if he falls out of line, and it's Riker's job to kill the captain if he falls out of line.
Them's the rules.
Them's the rules. He goes, you can consider this your first command decision, and all that. So I loved it. Then we move back to the Enterprise. This is where Worf then reports, hey, there's some weird bacteria growing on the ship. Menden kind of notices here. They do a little zoom in. Of course, now Data's serving as acting first officer without Riker here. And we see this
I don't know about you guys, but I don't remember the Lycar's interface on the main view screen ever after this.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's a good point.
I don't think we normally do see this at all. You're right.
Which I'm all for, but it's just I don't think we ever see that again.
To go with this magnification factor and whatever, it looks like the ship has rust, but it's actually some kind of bacterial growth, some spaceborne bacteria. And I think this is where Menden's like, oh yeah, I noticed it on the Klingon ship.
Yeah, Joe Stupid over here decides.
And they're like, what? He's like, yeah, I noticed it, and it was on their ship.
The guy behind him, he's just like, I want to punch this guy so bad.
Yeah, this guy's like, we learned that the first day. Yeah, we're supposed to tell everybody.
And you went through the academy, asshole.
But I don't think he did. I think he did. Because we're also told in the previous season that Mordok is the first Benzite in Starfleet. When the guy so I feel like I think it's just confusing that they throw him into this uniform for this episode.
You're right, yeah.
But because I don't,
the first one, yeah.
Yeah, he shouldn't really be, but he is. So,
but then Wesley says, "Oh, I thought you were him."
Right, because they're from the same family or whatever.
But, yeah, but I think
it's just an overlooked plot hole.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Doesn't really matter, I guess, but. It's still interesting.
So then they're like, hey, you're supposed to tell us when there's something out of the ordinary. That's like the whole job of the science station. That's your whole thing. And so he kind of explains this whole thing about how, that's just not what you do,
I have not yet completed my full analysis. It would be improper to report it until then. It is a Benzite regulation. No officer on the deck of one of our ships would report an occurrence like this until he had a full analysis and a resolution. I have simply followed proper procedures.
Yeah, well, they're like, well, that's not our procedure, Picard reminds them. And then he's like, Data, go help him and supervise him. This guy sucks. This is, And then Worf's there. He's like, oh, I'll be watching you too now.
I think Worf is just enjoying intimidating this poor Benzite.
Yeah,
he's just following him around like, I'm watching you, buddy.
I'm watching you. You chain of command. I'm Lieutenant Junior grade. You're an ensign. Let's not forget. Anyway, Data comes over to assist, supervise, and then we cut back to the Klingon ship, which is we're told on a peaceful mission.
Although we are on a peaceful mission, we are ready to go into battle instantly.
Of course. We get the whole scene here in the mess hall with, they're, of course, having more of these Klingon dishes that we saw on the Enterprise, but and the Klingon women staring at Riker is a big factor here as well. Two Klingon women. Who's prettier, would you say?
Oh, there's no question here.
Her?
It ain't that one.
Her?
Well, you think this one's cuter? Let me see.
The one that has lines or the one that doesn't?
Between the two of them, I would say the other one is.
I think she's cuter.
Yeah, I'd say it's her, but this one has lines. I don't know. So the forehead ridges are odd
And
to
she
me.
also wins some marks with the whole like licking her lips thing as well.
Yeah, she plays. Oh, I love the performance. It's great.
Yeah, she's like, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
And when she just grabs him by the chin and like assesses them and says, "He's not very attractive, but I will have him."
I will. I'll slum it a bit, and
That's fine.
I'll go with him.
And
Right?
he's an
I'm pretty
outlaw,
sure
like,
she
Klingon
slums it already.
standards, but-
Like she's on this ship. We've seen way prettier ones.
Have we like Bator?
Listen, Bator's hot. Bator's
hot as
hot.
hell.
She's super hot.
And those
Lurks-
and the
Lurks
two
is
sisters
alright.
are pretty good too.
Human
Yeah.
females are so repulsive.
Repulsive. But the pinnacle of Klingon hotness is Kalar, but she's only half Klingon, and Brilka.
Yeah, no boob windows. That's right.
Yeah,
We
that
missed the
sucks.
boob windows.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, we don't see those here. Anyway, yeah, she's kind of looking Riker up and down. You say, "Hey, Riker, you haven't finished all."
I love how like sly he is, but yet you can kind of see that he's actually a little uneasy
Nervous?
about all this.
Yeah.
Like Frakes plays it really well.
They're talking about the food. You haven't had much of the food, Commander. Do you not have an appetite? And then they're like, "Well, try some of this." Where is it here?
Isn't that gah?
Very good. You did some research on our nutritional choices.
Yes, but still moving.
Gras is always best when served live.
Always best when served live.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, and this is where the Klingon woman starts like, "Oh, I'll have some of him too." They're having some lot of laughs. We see here that the Klingons love to laugh and have jokes in their mess hall, and they're all around a good time.
Alana, no, is not even in my top 5 Klingons.
Because
Alana's
Worf,
awesome.
Worf is such a serious Klingon, and this really comes up more and more in Deep Space Nine with Jadzia. She's like, who had a lot of experience as Curzon Dax with the Klingons, and she's like, most of the Klingons are always like having fun and like, yeah, they fight and they war and all this stuff, but Worf is very restrained and very disciplined and honorable. And everything else. So they're all having kind of this might be the officers' mess more specifically, but anyway.
I think it is
there's not
because it's
many
so
there.
small. Yeah. Like if
Not
it's
many
for a
there.
ship with a full complement, there's not going to be a mess hall for everybody with enough room for a dozen people.
Right.
It must be officers.
Just look at the eyes on him.
This is fantastic. He plays
the
this
eyes
so well.
on him is enough,
Yeah. It's great.
Because there's just a hint of, I would try
curiosity. Yeah.
that.
He's like, yeah. And then there's this one off in the corner who never says anything, but she's looking pretty hungry too.
She's cute. She's got like a like Eartha Kitt vibe going on
Yep.
over there. You
Yeah.
know,
Maybe.
she's just eyeing him. I love it.
Yeah. There's the one licking her lips. Oh gosh. It's such, is she serious? Oh, she's serious. Well, one or both. And then they all start laughing. Like, yeah. And then
Look
he's
at
like,
him. I love that face.
Yeah.
Frakes
Because
is so great.
He's scared. But deep down, he's like.
But he's like,
still
he's
gonna
kind of
try
into
this.
it. He's just kind of
still gonna
worried
try
about it.
Well,
how many
like-
bones will be broken.
Scared with a boner.
Yeah.
Kind of
Broken
like
boners.
our previous episode of the Orville.
a little bit.
I get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
When
yeah,
she
but-
makes this face at him, and then he does the classic aside, like, "Is she serious?" Like talking out of the side of his mouth there. And then the reason right here, "Is she serious?" The reason I think he totally did it is because he takes this big gulp of blood wine, like to fortify himself, and he's looking to the side. And then we cut from the scene. He put his hands down on the table and stood up at that mess hall and was like, "All right, gals, let's go." And they all chomped out together, I think is what happened. That's my own headcanon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
you're
it.
probably
I'm with
right
you.
on that.
So after that kind of whole thing with the women thing, and then it's just Riker with Clag and the tactics officer, and they're getting more serious. They talk about, he's like, we're just like you. I have a mother and father just like you. And he's like, well, tell me about your parents. He's like, my father died in glorious battle, but my mom lives on the homeworld. And then Riker asks Clag about his family, and he's like,
I
my
didn't
father.
like this. He literally stood up and did the 1980s talk near the camera.
Yeah, my father.
Like they do this, they're like, I remember the day when he left.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's almost like it's go right?
Well, as soon as he was fully standing up, the music started, right?
Yeah.
Like the dun, 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 my father was a nobleman,
Yeah. Well, he was
That
captured by the Romulans, and he
Mm.
managed to escape, but he wasn't allowed to kill himself by the Romulans. There's this whole thing with the Klingons and getting captured, but isn't like I don't know, Martok got captured by the Dominion, and he was allowed to escape, and he didn't have to kill himself. So I'm always confused by the rules of Klingon honor and suicide, and when you're allowed to be taken prisoner and when you're not. But it's a little inconsistent. But anyway,
I was thinking of that too, and he said his father is just waiting to die. Like, can't you just go do a battle now?
he could try, you think, but maybe no one will have him on the crew. Maybe. He's too dishonored, right? So so Clag says he won't talk to his father, because of this dishonor. And Riker's like, well, maybe you should learn how to, maybe you should get more in touch with your feelings like humans. And then he says, I didn't know yesterday how to eat ga, and here I am, so maybe you can learn to open your heart up to dealing with your father and your family and putting some of these.
Does
things
anybody
aside.
think that the Klingon forks are really useless?
You might as well just eat it with your hands at this point.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, well, not only
Many
that,
bad
but like
I'm telling you.
their prongs. The prongs are like this. Like they're literally like really really spaced out, almost like a turkey carving fork or something like that.
Yes.
And it's
yeah.
like, well, that's pretty useless.
More like tongs,
especially
really.
for like to get gall. Like, how are you going to pick that up really well?
Yeah.
I really like that whole mess hall scene. I think is just really
That's
well
good.
done, really well acted by everybody. And I just wanted to say that when they're talking about Clag's father, and Riker keeps going, but he's your father. He says that like 3 times. I'm like, bitch, when was the last time you talked to Kyle Riker?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, because they haven't written that into his story yet, right? That Riker has this animosity with his own father.
Later on, you guys will be like, beating each other up with like weapons from like American Gladiators.
Ambo Jitsu. Yes, that's right.
Jitsu.
Ambo
Yeah.
Jitsu, yeah.
And then it turns out that Pulaski was going with Kyle Riker for years.
Yeah, she was-
That's
Yeah,
all.
she was.
She was banging.
And she
Actually,
never
that's only a
tells
couple
him?
that's only a couple episodes
From
later.
now, yeah, it's coming
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
right?
Love
It's not
it.
that far away. Yeah, so I love that scene. I think it really does a great job to make the Klingons feel so much more relatable and so much more understandable. And I think that's the whole thing with this episode is that Riker's really getting to know them, right?
Well, and up until this point, really, when you think about the Klingons, we don't know a lot about them. Like we know
that they're the bad guys. We know that they love war and
like
this kind of stuff.
It's nice to see a completely opposite side of them, which is kind of nice.
Right. Normally they're bad, right? But they're coming in here to say, well, there's a reason that the Federation.
They're
has
not bad. They're just misunderstood.
Misunderstood.
Mostly because they're misrepresented by somebody.
And so by Worf, bad
I didn't
representative.
say that. You did, but
I think he
agree
was
with you.
implied. Anyway, so we get back to the story where Mendon and Data are giving the whole thing, the analysis here to Picard. They say basically this bacteria is going to eat through our hole unless we figure out how to do something about it. And the Klingon ship is even more susceptible to this bacteria. Their ship has more of these compounds that will get eaten
Don't
up. By
they got like hand sanitizer? Can't they just go out there and just dump a bunch on?
You think you just you could cut the hull out like you're cutting cancer out, right, or something? But
well,
Just,
we
like,
saw
clean
in
it up.
Enterprise. In Enterprise, they could just like dismantle the ship from a console. They could be like, "Hey, just like open up this panel and shoot it off into space."
Right, but that's apparently not. So they're still trying to figure out what to do about it. And then Picard's like, "We need to find that Klingon ship and tell them right away." So he's like, "Worf, let's find them." Then we go back to the. Yep.
So I have a problem with this plot point. Why do the Klingons think that they're out to get them?
Well, this captain's kind of a bad captain, I think. Is
Because the captain instantly, when he finds out from the Enterprise, and the Enterprise starts coming back towards them, he's like, oh, they're trying to like instigate some sort of war or something.
Well,
Let's
the
kill them.
The part of the misunderstanding is that Mendon did this intensive scan on the area of their ship that has this this bacteria. So therefore, they're like, it's very suspicious. It seems like they almost planted this on us, right? But the Klingon ship already had it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess.
Plus,
That's what I got from it too.
And this captain is paranoid and whatever, and he's eager for battle at any minute. So there's all these kinds of factors. Maybe another captain would not have necessarily jumped to these
So do you
conclusions.
think this scene here is post-coitus with the two Klingon girls?
Maybe. Yes.
Yep.
Probably.
That's what happened.
It looks a little sweaty at this point. So maybe.
They're in his quarters sleeping it off in a cuddle puddle, and he's like, "Gotta go, I'm on duty, girl."
Puddle. Cuddle puddle.
They're in the Klingon hug dungeon,
The hug.
recovering.
On the shelf.
It's full of like Beanie Babies and
Anyway, so they show it to Riker that they've got the rust bacteria stuff on here. They kind of explain like why would the Federation want to do this to us? And Riker's like, there's no way. It's no way the Enterprise did this on purpose. It's, and they're like, why was there this intensive scan? Like he can't explain it, right? And there's a lot of, and Riker of course has an oath of loyalty to this ship right now. He has to serve the Klingon ship, the Pa. He can't have his loyalties divided, but he has to, try to talk his captain down here, who seems more. He's like, I'm going to find the Enterprise and destroy it.
Can you just go back one screenshot? I'd like to point out that the ceiling of the ship looks like an empty toffee tray.
It should have like little gherkins in it and other things.
Yeah,
I really like. I love the lighting on the Klingon bridge too. It's so cool.
You mean red?
Red, yeah. A lot of red.
Lots of red.
Yeah,
they love their red.
Anyway, so Riker is in a pickle here. As we head back to the Enterprise.
He already had a pickle earlier.
Too.
Right. So then the Enterprise is going along, still looking for the Klingon ship. This is where. So this is after Mendon's had his shame of having to admit he made a mistake, and Wesley feels bad, leaves his post at the helm.
Yeah, perfectly a good idea.
Comes up here to talk to Mendon. He's like, "Hey, Mendon, it's okay. You made a mistake, but it's cool. Captain will get over it.
Weed in that vape and call it a day."
Yeah, but Mendon's like, "I'll never live down this shame. I'll have this for the rest of my life." And then they kind of go over here, which is by the bathroom door, by the way, or the head. And Mendon's like,
really a bathroom? I don't remember that.
Yeah, that door to behind Mendon is the bathroom. And then of course the observation lounge is to the right there. Yeah. But Mendon's like, I know you're being nice to me, but why? Is it because I just look like your old friend?
Because I usually am the one that gets told to shut up.
That was a note that I made. I really love that Wesley gets to be a kind and welcoming friend rather than the annoying know-it-all that they usually write him as.
Well, they already
because they put all of that into Mendon, and then Wesley, then Wesley gets to be like, "It's cool, man. You'll do fine."
Right. Most of the crew, including Picard, they're not like super receptive to him, right? And but Wesley's different. Wesley's like, no, it's cool, man.
Wesley's like,
I know what it's like to have everybody find you annoying. I get it,
yes.
Mendon. So
I get it. I'm just happy someone else is telling somebody else to shut up.
I'm just waiting for you to get kicked out so I can take your pip.
Well, to Pip Kim. No, that's somebody
pretty
else.
Good hole.
Yeah, the hole is growing back on the Klingon ship, and
no.
the Klingon captain's getting even more upset. Riker is getting, more and more uncomfortable with the situation.
No, he's just tired.
The Klingon captain's like, we're going to attack. We're going to attack them. We're going to find them, and we're going to blow them up and destroy them. I can't remember if there's anything more specific here that I'm missing, but, the Enterprise is hailing. They're looking for us. And the Klingon bird of prey is cloaked, so they're preparing to shoot everything at once. Riker is just like, uh-oh, I don't know what to do. And this Klingon captain's determined to kill everybody on the Enterprise over this rust. Then Data, and they're going along here. This is where the confrontation is. Riker then has a confrontation with the captain and says, "I think you're being reckless. I think you're doing, you're doing the wrong thing." He tries to confront him and says, "Your orders are reckless." But he's like, "But I will follow your orders and I will die with you in battle if necessary." And then the captain's like, "Yeah, man, you got the Klingon heart. Let's go. Let's die. Today's a good day to die." And
he's like, "I've already had 2 women. I'm good."
Yeah, you've had a good time.
This scene for me, where the captain says, he's pressuring him to tell the secrets about the Enterprise, and Riker refuses. And the captain says, "If you had told those secrets about the Enterprise, I would have labeled you a traitor and killed you where you stood."
All right,
and that really made me think of in First Contact, after Picard calls Worf a coward for not wanting to stay and fight on the Enterprise. And Worf says, "If you were any other man, I would kill you where you stand." And it gives me goosebumps every time. And that really made me think of that. The Klingons will cut you the fuck down for being a traitor where you stand.
I disagree. I think this captain is full of shit.
Really?
He seems to be full of shit this entire episode. He seems to be just flying like off the seat of his pants. So like he's stuck in this position. So like
So you think he actually did want Riker to give him the secrets?
Of course he did. He wanted,
and he wouldn't have killed Riker where he stands.
Empire. No, well maybe, but he would have taken the advice. But like, no, I don't think he would have killed him. I mean, he would have had to because Riker would have attacked him for destroying the Enterprise.
I wouldn't disagree with David on this one.
No, he's full of shit. This guy.
Well, and you also get the impression that this is a very like low tier captain. Like this guy's on a ship that nobody gives a shit about, and they're flying around in like an area that no other Klingon gives a fuck about, and it's just you kind of get that impression. So I think David's right.
I could go either way on this. I think maybe he means what he says. I think also it's plausible that he doesn't mean it. Like I'm not sure how to interpret it, but
I think he means it. But I also think that he's not necessarily the most honorable of Klingons, because we'll get to it in a minute, but at the end, the way that he reacts to save face, basically, but I won't discuss that part now because we'll get to it, but let's go on.
But he says, "I'm not going to give this, so I'll go into battle and I'll die with you if necessary." Then we go back to the Enterprise, where they have Mendon has figured out how to fix the problem with the bacteria with a specific kind of beam or something that they need to go out here, a quantum state resonance test, and he's got it all worked out. He says, "Thanks, Ensign. Good job. Now, piss off." And then they're still looking for the Klingon ship. The Klingon ship is getting ready to attack. They're trying to get into range here. And I think this is where... I think Riker says, get within 40,000 kilometers before attacking for the best chance, right? Which, seems contradictory. He says, I won't give you secrets or anything like that or any tricks on how to beat the Enterprise. But 40,000 kilometers is more specifically, I guess, the transporter range that they need. Mm-hmm. And
I'm disappointed they're calling them kilometers and not killicams.
True. Well, they are speaking his language, so maybe that's why. But the killicams.
Well, the captain does say earlier when he first gets on the ship, like, speaking their tongue, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he knows Riker doesn't speak Klingon.
They're basically Quebecers. They're nice enough to speak English to us Anglophones, but like
they get mad when we try to speak French.
Speak French here? No.
No, just
you haven't been in a lot of parts of Quebec, have you? Because a lot of them won't even try.
For a time.
Well, like a lot, like if they speak English, they'll just like don't even try to speak bad French to me. Just go to English. Yeah. So it's sort of that kind of thing. But
tout le monde me parle français au Québec. Je sais pas pourquoi vous avez le trou pour faire ça.
Fermez la grande bouche.
Anyway, so then Riker gets out the transponder that Worf gave him. He activates it and he actually tricks the captain into taking it from him. He's like, "What's that?"
Slick.
"Oh, it's just a little toy I got." And then Worf's like, "Riker's sending us a signal. He's got a transponder."
You know that captain when he saw that pull out and he turned it on, he was like, "Oh, that was the vibrator you used."
Buzz, bitch.
Anyway, so Picard says, "Hey, O'Brien, lock onto him right away. Beam Riker away from a cloak ship, no less. Right? Get him out of there. He's the only one who can tell us what the hell's going on here." And just then, Riker, anticipating this, gets the captain beamed out of the bridge.
So, did anybody else get the impression that this was completely a bad idea from Riker to do this? Because this guy, number one, is armed. And he's about to be beamed onto a ship where they don't know that they're beaming him on.
Right.
right? So it's like
Yeah, but they've got Data on the bridge. Data can react so fast if anything happens.
Worf was
I
the
think
one
it's
that
fine.
actually reacted. It wasn't even Data.
Well,
No, but I
Spock
mean,
can react
I'm
even
just
faster
thinking
than
like from
Data.
Riker's
Worf
point
is
of view.
amazing.
I think that the bigger gamble here is from Riker in terms of like he's left on the bridge with all these Klingons. And he's seemingly just betrayed his captain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or tricked his captain, and so he's taking a big chance here that Clagg's not going to kill him for this.
You're allowed
You know?
to do that on a Klingon ship.
He is, and Clag would be probably within his rights.
According to the
Direct
Klingon, the Klingon rules say he can take out the captain.
Right. If he feels he's
And
weak,
Clag
but then
can take him out.
but Riker seems pretty confident. He's like he talks himself out of the situation. He's like, "Hey, captain's gone.
You're gonna
I'm
beat
now
up
the
Clag.
I'm the captain now. Look at
I'm
me."
your captain now. Ice cold. Amazing. Love it.
He also knew Clag was his buddy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he had won Clag over.
Yeah,
He's
he
like,
won
"What? You
Clag
should
over
talk to
already.
your dad more." You know?
You should talk to your
So-
dad more, but
I'm
don't
the
talk to my
captain now.
dad.
Go
'cause he's
call
an
your
ass.
dad.
Yeah, go call your dad because he's feeling lonely.
Go call Papa.
Anyway, and then
Talk to your dad, and you know what? Musical instruments are for chumps, Clag.
the Klingon captain materializes on the Enterprise bridge. He's like, "Riker, he tricked me, that jerk." And Worf already getting his phaser out here. You can see him in the background.
Good.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
It's finally time that he's done something useful.
Because the captain tries to get his disruptor, presumably to kill the captain. And I also love here that Data actually he becomes a shield here for Picard, and he directly gets in the way of Picard, so Picard can't be shot.
I didn't even notice that. That's awesome. I love it.
That's a first officer for you. And then Data goes over and takes the disruptor from the captain because the captain's only stunned by the phaser blast. So all is well. Then Riker orders for the ship to decloak, which the Klingons are not super thrilled about because they were looking for a battle here, and they're not going to quite get it. But Riker gives the order.
Would you two stop horsing around?
I'm trying to put people back in order, and I can't. Anyway, sorry.
So then they get the thing, and Riker eventually comes on the screen. Where is it here?
Well, it wasn't the only time he's come on the screen.
Yeah, here, Riker.
I'll see myself out.
Enterprise, this is Captain William Riker of the Klingon vessel Pach. I order you to lower your shields and surrender.
I liked how he said Picard.
Picard.
He's like, Picard.
I love that. Love. It just cuts to him
can't
like
hear you,
sitting on
Davan.
the bridge in his classic Riker pose. He's like, it's Captain William Riker.
Yeah, it's
No-
Captain Riker, and then Picard orders the surrender. He's like, "Yeah, totally surrender."
Can you
Yeah,
hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I said Riker keeps a bottle of that Enterprise decon gel next to his iPad. Back in
He'll
those
need it.
days.
Probably a good idea.
yeah.
It also works as a spermicide.
Yeah, the captain, Klingon captain says, "I demand to be taken back to my ship." Picard
Find me
offers.
some backleds.
Picard offers to send him the beam, and all is well. And then the captain comes back and confronts Riker. He's like, "You're a jerk. You
You
betrayed
touched my
me."
vibrator.
He tells Riker to take his station, and Riker gives him the whole like growl thing or whatever, the disrespect, and so
So-
the cat.
Because I'm hard of hearing in one ear, I usually have the captions on when I watch stuff, and it just said low growl.
Yeah.
Low growl. That was what it
Low
was.
growl.
Low growl. So Riker gets smacked across the face. Now Riker tells us later you have to know when not to duck. So he had to take this punch. Because I guess if he had ducked, it could have gotten a lot worse.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was talking about earlier about maybe this captain is not the most like honorable and upstanding Klingon because it's very clear to me in this scene that Riker disrespected the captain like that so the captain could give him a smack and save face in front of his crew because he got tricked by Riker. He
Right.
got beamed onto the Enterprise. Like, who's going to have faith in a captain of a Klingon vessel
Riker's
like
trying
that
to set
unless he
things right.
puts the interloper back in his place?
Yeah,
Riker
we
doesn't
did
want to
that
have to
for
kill him.
Murdoch once.
Riker, technically, his duty here is to kill the weak captain, and the captain is kind of weak, right? So it's
Mhm.
So Riker manages
Riker's
to-
like, I've done everything I need to do on this
gets
ship.
that
I'm
smack across the
leaving."
face, and then Clagg's like, you understand us better than I thought you did. Good job, man. And then
Which
he's
to
like,
me reinforces that Riker did that with the captain deliberately so
Yes.
he could take a step back and the captain would be like unshaken in his leadership.
Well, and he says something like "Thank you, brother" or something like that after that.
Thank you,
Or,
my
thank
friend.
you, friend.
Yeah.
Thank you, my friend. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, my friend. I'm
And
going
he's
to call
like,
my dad right now.
Get this trash off my bridge. So Clag kind of still has to drag him off here. Definitely. We see here then the Enterprise does the beam, which I guess that's coming from. I can't tell where that's coming from on the ship, but anyway, it's they're fixing up the Klingon ship.
I think it's
Busted
actually
ram scoops.
But the dish is
I
down
think
here.
Yeah, I think it's actually like that little
Torpedo
kind of
tube.
port thing that they have just above it.
Yeah. Anyway, so then Riker comes back. I don't know if his assignment was supposed to go longer than this, but he gets to come back. Of course,
He was like a day.
He's got that big bruise on his face. And Picard says, "Well, Worf will take you to sick bay."
That bruise wasn't even from the captain. That was from the girls.
100%. I thought about that too.
He's like, if you think this is bad, you should see what's down there.
It really swelled up fast, so I wonder if he got a few more slaps on the way out from the women.
Maybe he stopped by their quarters on the way out.
Yeah. So then
Especially with
Riker
that smug look.
goes along. There's a little walk and talk with Worf. I can't remember what's the last thing they say to each other.
Says you're from noble and brave people.
You come from real noble and brave people. Glad to have you with us. I like you Klingons. You're all right in my book. And he's like, thanks, sir.
Especially the women.
He's like,
I wouldn't know, sir.
I sampled the food. I sampled the women, the violence, all of
It would
it.
have been better if he stopped and he stopped and he just looked at Worf and said, "So you are capable of laughing," or something like that. Like, oh, you do get humor once in a while.
And Worf's just like, yes, but none of you are funny.
There you go. That would have been a good line too.
And that is the end of the episode. As the Klingon bird of prey goes off on its way, never to be seen again. Well, not that particular ship, at least. So, does anyone have the trivia for us? Well,
I can do it if you want. Hold on.
Yeah, I would love that, Jody.
Here, do Phil.
Jody's
never being seen again. I don't know if you noticed my wardrobe changed halfway through this episode, but I had to run upstairs and get puked on, so I probably got to go do that again. There's pukey babies.
Uh-oh.
So I got to run.
Oh, good luck.
Okay. Do you want to throw us your
Give us
rating
your
before you go?
10.
A 10? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you do that in honor of me
complaints,
being here?
I got no complaints about this episode. It's enjoyable all the way through. All right, out of here.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye.
Wish me luck.
Good luck.
Bonne chance.
Oui.
Today is the good day to clean up baby puke.
Yes.
It's never a good day to clean up baby puke.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still getting it. Just 1 second.
We're waiting on the fun facts.
You can
with
wait all you
Jody.
want. Hold on, just relax.
Don't rush him. He's a man of.
I gotta
sorry.
review them
I'm sorry,
too. Like,
Jody.
it's not, I
It'll be
wasn't
worth
told
the
I was
wait.
going to do this.
No, you weren't. LeVar Burton and Marina Sirtis do not appear in this episode. This is the first episode in the series in which Burton does not appear.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Okay, are we ready for some fun facts with me?
We
Yes.
are correct. Let's go.
All right. Brian Thompson was hired for his role and then let go without notice before it was filmed. When he sought out a reason why, he was told that he was too large to fit into the costume Christopher Lloyd had worn in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. He quickly volunteered to make the necessary alterations himself. So there you go.
Wow.
That's the guy who plays Clag?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the same, he's wearing the outfit that
Christopher Lloyd wore.
Yeah.
So he's like, don't worry, I am a seamstress on the side.
Yeah, he literally modified
Like,
it for them.
listen, fatty, you're fired. And he's like, no, I'll fix it. I'm no problem.
Yeah, and as mentioned earlier, Wesley mistakes Ensign Mendon for Mordok, a Benzite who he met in season 1's Coming of Age. Indeed, they're both played by the same actor, John Putch.
Yeah, so this guy Brian Thompson, who plays Clag, he goes on to play like a Jemadar into the death. I think he's the one who gives that that whole speech to Worf, where he's like, "I'm going to kill so many Klingons one day," and then Worf breaks his neck in their fight they have later in that episode.
Yeah,
good actor.
So this is sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, he was also that Romulan guy, Valdor, Jody, when we watched Enterprise. That Romulan guy who was like running that little shuttle thing behind the scenes and everything.
Yes.
Anyway.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. The Klingon dishes that Riker eats were made primarily of sushi in forms of offal.
Offal?
Offal.
Offal's like organ meats and stuff.
Yeah, O-F-F-A-L.
Guts.
This is also the first ever appearance of the Klingon dish gah.
A reference to it. Yeah, it becomes like referenced so many times after that. Right.
So before Riker is transferred to the Klingon ship, Picard says, "We know so little about them. There really is so much to learn." In later seasons, Picard would turn out to be an expert in Klingon culture, familiar with their codes of honor, and able to pronounce insults in their own language. So
well, maybe once Riker came back from this
excited to
exchange
learn.
program and told him about it, Picard was like, okay, this sounds great. I'm going to learn. I'm going to get on board. You know, Picard is like a sociology dork, so he probably had the computer show him everything.
So, so that guy Brian Thompson who plays the Klingon Clag, I'm pretty sure this is like the Jemadar speech he gives in that Deep Space Nine episode.
One day, the Klingon Empire will fall before the Jem'Hadar. And when that day comes and piles of Klingons lie dead at my feet, I will think of you standing here, impotent and weak, and I will laugh.
All right.
Cisco has to jump in there.
So this
One
is
day, the Klingon.
Production values have gone down now. The only episode of TNG, as well as the first episode of any Star Trek series, to contain subtitles. Subtitles in a Star Trek series were used again in Tattoo, 1995, and more prominently in Star Trek Enterprise. So there you go. They're talking about when
they use the subtitles when he says, "Don't believe him, he's a liar," and then the captain says, "Speak in their language."
But this is more specifically about the episodes because they use it more in the movies, I think, with the Klingon characters.
Yeah, in the movies they were all over the place. Yeah. Brian Thompson, who was the chap who played Clag, would go on to play another Klingon in Star Trek Generations.
Right.
A Dosi in Rules of Acquisition. A Jemadar in To the Death, a Romulan admiral in a reoccurring role in season 4 of Star Trek Enterprise.
Right. Yeah.
How cool is that? He played a bunch of different species, like Jeffrey Combs vibes.
Yeah, he's up there with like Jeffrey Combs and Vaughn Armstrong, I think. You know, in Generations, I think he's the guy who goes, "We are decloaking," you know, right before they get blown up. You know, that's him.
Yeah. Robert Smithson, who I don't know which Klingon he played, was credited as Klingon, but became a name in the official Star Trek customizable car game. His actual name is Basalmog.
What was the actor's name?
Robert Smithson.
Robert Smithson.
I think he was the guy that was at the helm talking, and he said, "I look like my mother and my father." I think that's the same guy.
But I thought that was Peter Peros.
Oh, maybe it was. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to figure that one out. Though he appears in the episode, this is the only Klingon-themed one in the series not centered around Worf. Which is true.
Yeah.
That's probably why it's great.
That's why it's your favorite, Jody.
That's why it's a good episode.
It's his favorite Klingon, at least.
Yeah.
Well, that's not hard. First Star Trek guest appearance of actor Christopher Collins as the Klingon Captain Kargan. He would guest appear later in the season as a Pacific commander in Samaritan Stare, as well as several guest appearances in Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, he's great in this.
Mm-hmm.
They're all the whole guest cast is amazing.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. The rest of the stuff we kind of already covered.
Did you know that Brian Thompson was also in Babylon 5, Jody?
I didn't care.
I know.
That's probably why I didn't know, was because I didn't care.
That's what I figured. All right. Well, with that said, let's get to our ratings. Norman giving this a 7.5.
7.5, Norman.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd go that low, but
Davan, of course, gave this a 10 before he had to go.
Of course.
So Heather, do you want to go?
Here's how Davan rates things. Is there a Klingon in it? 10.
You know what? This is also a 10 for me. It's the 10. I wrote 10 out of 10. Perfect episode. No notes. I loved it.
There you
Yeah,
go.
like there's nothing really to dislike for this episode for me either.
I'm not gonna go 10 because 10's reserved for like best of both worlds and some other episodes. But I'm gonna go a solid 9 though. It's a very good episode.
Yeah, I'm willing to go. I think I'm at least at a 9. I don't think I'm quite a 10, so I'm gonna split the difference and go 9.5. You know, I feel like, am I going too high on this? I don't know.
I think you are.
Maybe,
It's
but I'm doing it.
What do I know?
fantastic episode. It's so good, and I don't necessarily disagree when Davan says it's the best episode of the series so far. It's certainly my favorite of the series.
Well,
so
based
far.
on our averages, Dave, can you show us if there's anything rated as high as that?
This so far,
Because
this
I think
year,
Davan might be right.
You're right. We don't have that high of a rating yet.
Yeah, so Davan's right.
The next closest is Elementary Dear Data at 8.3.
Which is really good, yeah.
And now of
It's
course, next
good, but this is a better episode than that.
next week we're talking about The Measure of a Man, which,
Like 2 bangers right in a row.
right, and then The Dolphin comes after that. But anyway, which is less of a banger. But anyway, this only has an 8 out of 10 on IMDb. I thought it was a little low. Like Elementary
People
Dear
don't know
Data
what the hell
has
they're
a higher
talking
rating comparatively, right? So, but yeah, we're averaging a 9.6 on the panel tonight. So, and of course Norman gave it a 7.5. So he's a little on the lower
Norman,
side.
7.5. What didn't you like about it? Tell us in the comments.
Yeah, let us know. And as mentioned just moments ago, next week's episode is The Measure of a Man. Where's my little card for that? So we have, who's on for that? We have Kevin, Davan, and Justin coming in next week to talk about the great courtroom drama.
You know what? You can only have a little bit of me and Heather because we are, you know what? We are like we're a fine wine. We only show up once in a while, you know.
Well, I think we've had this Measure of a Man panel set for like a while.
I think since you started thinking about doing it, I think this one was already.
And,
this one filled up quick, yeah.
Kevin specifically wanted to be on this one, and so we got all that. And Justin was begging to be here this week, and I was like, you hold off. You'll be on the Measure of a Man episode. But
everyone who will be on next week is fortunate because it's just a fantastic episode,
Totally.
and I'm eager to hear what everyone thinks about it. I'm going to rewatch as well.
Yeah, I would love that episode as well. So and then in 2 weeks we're talking about the Dauphin. Right now, only Heather signed up for that.
Come on, Jody.
You know what? I'll do it if Heather's doing it.
Okay, come on. Get on the Dauphin with me.
Because it is terrible, though.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. It's
and
usually
I'm
a
going
skipper
to
for
cut
me.
the hell out of that episode.
It's not my favorite episode, but maybe it will grow me on the rewatch.
We'll have fun, and you know what? The monster's fur probably looks very fashionable and nice. So
the old lady with the shape shifting.
Oh God, I hate that old lady. I just want to punch her every time I see her.
Well, that will make a fun podcast. So check out that in 2 weeks or in 1 week with The Measure of a Man. Of course, we are covering the Orville as well on Monday nights, Jody.
Not too many more left.
Most recently, we talked about From Unknown Graves. And then we're doing Midnight Blue on this coming Monday, season 3, episode 8.
Wow, that makeup is beautiful on the left.
And this episode we're covering on Monday.
You clearly haven't watched much of the Orville.
No, I watched the pilot episode and hated it.
It got so much better.
It got way better. Yeah.
I just don't. Seth MacFarlane. We've been over this.
We've been over it, but
carry on with your
if
wrap.
Davin would be ringing the bell with you as well. But
Davan was probably pissed off that my background was Orville.
Well, for me, it's like I don't like it, but everybody else carry on and enjoy. I'm not going to yuck your.
I think you're depriving yourself of some of the best non-Star Trek episodes ever made, including this one we're about to cover on Monday is perhaps the one of the best of anything.
It's very Star Trek.
Very Star
Is the
Trek.
Orville still airing? Like, are they still making new episodes?
Season 4 is coming out. Yeah,
they're supposed to be making the season 4. When no one knows. It might start this year.
Apparently,
it might not.
they just started pre-production.
Seth MacFarlane apparently does 10 different shows, so it's when he can.
Oh
fit
yeah,
it
he's got his hand in everything now.
Yeah, he's just Ted, and he does all these shows, and so it's kind of like when he can get back to it. But the cast, the show is technically still not canceled or anything. So
no, it's still active.
But because we don't know when the next season will come out, once the Orville ends, we're going to be covering For All Mankind. Will be our next show. on Mondays. So, which
I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to join for every episode, but I'm going to try to get there for most of them.
Well, hey, if others want to jump in for that panel as well, Heather or anybody else.
I've never even heard of that show.
Oh,
it's by Ronald D. Moore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's on Apple TV. It's already got four or five seasons.
It might be on my media server that you have access to.
Yeah, as well. So we'd love to have your take for that. It's an alternate history show where the Soviets get to the moon first.
And it's basically what would happen if the Americans actually kept with NASA
the space race
and the space race and it followed all the different like decades and stuff like that. Like one of the seasons is in the 80s, one of the seasons is in the 60s.
Right.
What's the fashion like? You know how important that is to me.
Well, specifically to the era that so when it's in the 60s.
Fun. So
I've only seen season 1, so it was all the 60s stuff. But
season 1 is 60s, season 2 is like early 80s, and season 3 is 90s, and then they go 2000s, and I think we're almost about to catch up to our.
And 5 is coming out in November.
Yeah, or past it.
Oh, well, maybe I'll give it a try and join a panel.
Yeah, so it's really cool. Looking forward to covering that show. It's a non-Star Trek kind of show with a lot of Star Trek kind of.
It's feels sci-fi, but it's very big budget though.
But it's also very grounded in real like science as well. So it's fun. It's a really fun show.
It's an Apple TV joint.
I watched that Section 31 piece of shit, so like I'll watch anything.
You know what? If you can get through even half of Section 31, almost everything looks better.
Well, we hope you'll join us for some of those episodes for All Mankind. We'd love to have you along for that. So with that all said, check out all the great stuff we have here. We just talked about Star Trek: The Cruise. We just had Tim Russ on a week ago. Go watch that interview. That was a load of fun talking to him, breaking down all of his Star Trek roles, his astronomy, his.
You know what? I'm very jealous of you, Dave, because I would have loved to have talked to him. He seems like such a fascinating guy.
He is. He was a great guy to talk to. You know, Justin had similar thoughts. I was like, we can't all come at once, guys.
Because you have to have a structured interview. You can't have that many people just like spirit
Hey,
out.
Tim,
like, I loved you in this.
Yeah, here's Jody. Here's Justin. You know, but
he's like, who? And
well, it's all he was great to have on. So go watch that.
Very interesting man.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I think that's it for tonight. We'll leave you with this quote for the evening. And until next time, live long and podcast, everybody.
I said I wouldn't mind the assignment, sir.
Any particular reason?
Because nobody's ever done it before.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.